I wonder if those sort of communicative dynamics just makes a military or any army so much worse if no one can ever say like we shouldn't go there or I need 5 minutes for this thing to charge instead of everyone trying to kind of perform this idea of bravado that everyone knows what they're doing. Like you have all these stories about, especially now over in Ukraine, about the Russian military that is just making mistake over mistake for how their situation is going. It seems like there's no communication whatsoever. And it
Mhm.
seems like there's more adaptability for where you guys were going, but there's still that element of like, uh, we might be walking into a bad situation, but I can't say anything because I will go crushed if I tell them that I need 5 minutes to charge.
There's a truth to that, and then there's an aspect of it that is not true. So I would
Okay.
say that. So the reason why I'd say that is this: if you're dealing with conventional forces, the example you just gave makes perfect sense. Special operations community, the mission is going to get done and you're going to succeed no matter what. So you don't have a choice. You will succeed or you will
Right.
leave. So that's not the option. So the option is that there are moments when you can say, hey, let's take a knee. Let's just wait a beat. We'll have a
Yeah.
little bit of tactical patience and we'll make this happen. That absolutely is a place for that. And then there are other moments where you've got to just put on your big boy pants and just make it happen. Right. And so
Right.
that the thing though, that was the biggest thing I gained from that community is that there you can all you surprise yourself when you don't give yourself a choice. When you're like, this is hopeless, I can't do it. That's not a mentality you can have. It's like, all right, how are we going to fix this? How are we going to do
Right.
this? I've got a bunch of tools. I was just the person that had a lot of different tools in the toolbox. The other guys had a hammer. And most of the time their solution was to get the hammer. And I was like, we don't need a hammer all the time.
Right.
And so it was a matter of convincing them to not use the hammer and to use something else. But there also is something to be said about being willing to tell someone they have an ugly baby. And that is
Right.
a term that is used a lot in that community is a lot of senior leaders will have an ugly baby and they'll be emotionally attached to something that they either created or a mission that they want to do or something they want to get done. And someone has to be
Yeah.
willing to come in and say, this is a terrible idea. This isn't going to work.
Wow.
And
So
as I
is that encouraged?
depends on the unit.
On
It also,
okay.
I'm going to say that is kind of usually the job of the senior enlisted person, not the senior officer. The senior enlisted person's job is to walk in and say, that's a bad idea because they're kind of immune to having their career crushed. A junior officer, it'll
Okay.
crush their career. A senior officer, they have to show that they are making the right decision all the time. But a senior enlisted person, it doesn't matter. You can't hurt their career anymore. It's a completely different pipeline. They're there to be the voice of reason. And that was
Right.
really how you people when they look at the military like what is the why have somebody that you have this like a 06 which is a very senior officer and then you'll have like this E9 or E8 always by their side. That person is supposed to be there to be the voice of reason on top of just to
Okay.
basically say, hey, this is something else you need to take in mind. Their job is to look after the people. And that was it's an interesting element of that community. And but the operational part was really interesting, but it wasn't until the last 6 years I was in the Navy that I actually had probably the most fun, and that was when I was the in charge of the innovation directorate and chasing down emerging technology. That was probably the most fun